The warning light. The signal arrived on a Tuesday. A single transmission, washing over Earth's outer defense perimeter like a whisper. Most systems would have missed it entirely, a faint ripple in the vast ocean of cosmic noise. But humanity hadn't survived this long by missing things. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in a facility known only as Watchpoint, Lieutenant Darius Kane sat bolt upright in his chair. For 3 years, he'd monitored the deep space array, watching for anything unusual. For 3 years, nothing had happened beyond routine calibrations and the occasional solar flare. Until now. Director Hirano, he called, voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding his system. We've got a Firefly. Firefly, the code name for First Contact Protocol. Within seconds, Akira Hirano materialized beside him, gray eyes scanning the holographic display. Origin? She asked, her voice betraying nothing. Sector 17 Delta, approximately 40 light-years from Sol. Signal characteristics don't match any known natural phenomena. And Director? Kane hesitated. It's aimed directly at us. This wasn't a general broadcast. Hirano's expression remained neutral, but her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around her tablet. Alert Defense Command. Priority Alpha. I want Captain Chen's team assembled within the hour. As Kane carried out his orders, Hirano stared at the pulsing dot on the display. Humanity had prepared for this moment for generations. Ever since the Great Expansion began, they'd colonized the nearest habitable worlds, established mining operations throughout the solar system, and built a defense network that stretched beyond Neptune's orbit, all while maintaining absolute radio silence beyond their own systems. The Quiet Protocol had been controversial, limiting humanity's technological broadcast footprint to prevent detection by potential hostiles. Many had called it paranoid, but paranoia had kept the human race alive on Earth when nature tried its hardest to kill them. And now, it seemed that paranoia might save them again. Captain Maya Chen strode through the corridors of the UNDF Vigilance, her footsteps echoing against the metal deck. At 42, she was the youngest fleet captain in Earth's history, with a reputation for unorthodox tactics and unflinching decisiveness. Those qualities had earned her command of humanity's most advanced vessel and the unenviable responsibility that came with it. "Talk to me, Major Lewis," she said as she entered the bridge, where her XO waited with a grim expression. "First contact scenario, Captain. We've received a transmission from unknown origins, approximately 40 light-years out. Defense Command has authorized immediate deployment of the first response fleet." Chen nodded, taking her seat in the command chair. "And the transmission contents?" Lewis handed her a datapad. "Our linguists are still working on it, but they've managed a rough translation. It appears to be a warning." Chen read the translated text, her brow furrowing. "Attention inhabitants of the Sol system. Your expansion has been noted. Your silence has been interpreted. This is your final notice. Contract your borders. Surrender your outposts. Return to your homeworld. Failure to comply within one standard cycle will result in immediate pacification. This is mercy." "Charming," Chen murmured. "They've made quite the first impression." Around her, the bridge crew maintained their composure, but tension hung in the air like static electricity. Humanity had debated for centuries whether they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it wasn't the one most had hoped for. "Orders, Captain?" Lewis asked. Chen's dark eyes remained fixed on the message. "Prepare for immediate jump to Rally Point Epsilon. Alert all vessels in the first response fleet, and get me a direct line to Admiral Okafor." As the bridge crew carried out her commands, Chen studied the star map. Rally Point Epsilon was a strategic position, far enough from Earth to avoid leading hostiles back to their homeworld, but close enough to the signal's origin to establish contact, or to strike if necessary. Admiral Talia Okafor's hologram flickered to life in Chen's ready room. "Captain Chen," the Admiral greeted her, the lines around her eyes deeper than Chen remembered from their last meeting. "I assume you've been briefed." "Yes, Admiral." The first response fleet is preparing to jump to Epsilon. We'll be ready to establish contact within 12 hours. Okafor nodded. Good, but there's more you need to know. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. A complex network of stars with several points highlighted in red. Our long-range probes detected unusual energy signatures in these systems 3 months ago. We kept it quiet to avoid panic. But now, they're mobilizing. Chen finished, studying the pattern. A coordinated effort across multiple systems. Exactly. Whatever this species is, they're not alone. We believe we're dealing with some sort of coalition, and based on the energy outputs we're detecting, they're significantly more advanced than we initially estimated. Chen absorbed this information, mind already racing through tactical scenarios. Does this change our approach? No. Attempt communication first. But Captain. Okafor leaned forward, her image distorting slightly. If they fire first, you are authorized to activate Prometheus Protocol. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Prometheus, humanity's last resort. A network of automated defense systems and dormant warships hidden throughout human-controlled space, designed to activate simultaneously if Earth faced an existential threat. Understood, Admiral, though I hope it doesn't come to that. As do I, Captain, but hope isn't a strategy. Okafor out. As the Admiral's image faded, Chen sat in silence for a moment. Throughout human history, first contact scenarios had been imagined countless times, some peaceful, others catastrophic. Despite all their preparation, despite all their technology, they were about to sail into uncharted waters. And the current looked strong. The first response fleet emerged from hyperspace at Rally Point Epsilon precisely 9 hours later. 5 vessels of varying configurations, led by the imposing silhouette of the Vigilance. They immediately established a defensive formation and deployed sensor drones to scan the surrounding space. No sign of hostiles, reported Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Nakamura from the tactical station. Sensor sweep is clean to a radius of 2 light minutes. Keep scanning, Chen ordered, and prepare the communication package. Humanity had prepared for this moment meticulously. The communication package, a carefully curated collection of mathematical principles, scientific information, cultural samples, and peaceful intentions, was designed to establish friendly contact with any sentient species they might encounter. Package ready, Captain, announced Communications Officer Eliana Reyes. Chen nodded. Transmit on all frequencies. The message streaked outward, crossing the vast emptiness toward the origin of the warning they'd received. Now they would wait and prepare. Major Lewis, I want continuous tactical simulations running. Use every scrap of data we have on their transmission to build potential scenarios. Already on it, Captain, Lewis replied. Though without knowing their technology or tactics, it's largely speculative. Speculation is better than nothing, Chen said. And activate the QE linked to Watchpoint. If things go sideways, I want Earth to know immediately. Quantum entanglement communication, humanity's ace in the hole. Instantaneous, untraceable, and impossible to intercept. If the worst happened, at least Earth would have warning. Hours passed with agonizing slowness. The bridge crew maintained their stations with professional focus, but Chen could feel the underlying tension. Every one of them understood what was at stake. Then, almost 18 hours after their arrival, Nakamura's console lit up like a Christmas tree. Multiple contacts, Captain, emerging from what appears to be some form of folded space approximately 1 light minute out. Configuration unknown, but energy signatures are massive. Chen straightened in her chair. Battle stations. Defensive formation Delta. But hold fire unless I give the order. The bridge erupted into controlled activity as alert klaxons sounded throughout the ship. On the main view screen, strange shapes began to materialize. Vessels unlike anything human engineers had conceived. They were organic in appearance, with flowing lines and asymmetrical structures that somehow maintained perfect balance. I count 7 vessels, Nakamura reported. 3 larger than the Vigilance, 4 approximately corvette-sized. They're arranging themselves in what appears to be a ceremonial formation, not combat-ready. They're trying to impress us, Lewis muttered. Or intimidate us, Chen countered. Either way, let's not show our hand just yet. Officer Reyes, any response to our communication package? Nothing yet, Captain. Wait. Incoming transmission. Audio and visual. Chen took a deep breath. On screen. The view screen shifted, and for the first time, humanity gazed upon another intelligent species. The alien was vaguely humanoid, with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Its eyes, 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked independently as it studied the camera. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, patches of skin pulsed with light in rhythm with the words. Soul-born vessels, came the translated voice, slightly mechanical but understandable. You have violated boundaries you were not aware existed. This is regrettable, but not excusable. The Concordiat has maintained order in this sector for 10,000 cycles. Your expansion threatens this balance. Chen stood, straightening her uniform. I am Captain Maya Chen of the United Nations Defense Force Vessel Vigilance. We received your warning, but we must clarify. Humanity has claimed only what we can reach. We have no knowledge of your Concordiat or its boundaries. We seek peaceful coexistence. The alien skin rippled in what might have been amusement or disdain. Your ignorance does not absolve your trespass. The silent expansion of your kind has been observed for decades. You hide your capabilities. You mask your transmissions. These are the actions of predators, not peaceful neighbors. Chen felt a chill. They had been watching for longer than humans realized. The quiet protocol, meant to protect Earth, had instead marked them as suspicious. Our silence was caution, not aggression, Chen explained carefully. Humanity's history is filled with conflicts. We wish to avoid bringing our mistakes to the stars. Noble words, the alien responded, but the Concordiat judges by actions, not intentions. You have been granted 1 cycle to withdraw. This timeline is non-negotiable. Before Chen could respond, the transmission cut off. The alien vessels remained in formation, silent sentinels against the backdrop of distant stars. Well, Lewis said quietly. That could have gone better. Chen returned to her chair, mind racing. Officer Reyes, get me Admiral Okafor immediately. Major Lewis, I want all data on those ships analyzed. Their technology, their weaponry, everything we can glean from passive scans. As the crew carried out her orders, Chen studied the alien vessels on the screen. Something wasn't adding up. If the Concordiat was as powerful as they claimed, why send only 7 ships? Why give Earth time to withdraw rather than forcing compliance immediately? Unless they're bluffing, Chen murmured, the realization striking her like lightning. They're extended too thin to enforce their demands. Lewis looked at her sharply. Captain, think about it, Major. A civilization spanning multiple star systems would have thousands of vessels, not 7. They would have detected our expansion much earlier. And they'd know that giving us time only allows us to prepare. So what are we dealing with? Chen's eyes narrowed. I think we've stumbled into someone else's territory dispute, and they're using us as leverage. Admiral Okafor's hologram appeared before Chen could elaborate further. After a brief update, the Admiral's expression turned grave. Your assessment may be correct, Captain Chen, but we can't take that chance. Defense Command has reviewed the situation and reached a decision. She paused, her image flickering slightly. Prometheus Protocol is authorized. Chen felt her mouth go dry. Admiral, with respect. This isn't open for discussion, Captain. If these Concordiat representatives return to their leadership with reports of our compliance, we show weakness. If they're indeed bluffing, we call their bluff. And if they're not, Okafor's expression hardened. Then humanity will need every advantage possible. Chen knew there was no arguing with a direct order. Understood, Admiral. Initiating Prometheus Protocol. As Okafor's image faded, Chen turned to Lewis. Send the authorization code. All channels, maximum encryption. Lewis nodded grimly and input a complex sequence into his console. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like distant fireflies awakening at dusk, tiny points of light began to appear on the tactical display. Dozens at first, then hundreds. Throughout human-controlled space, hidden installations were coming online. Automated defense platforms, dormant warships, and weapon caches buried within asteroids and moons, all activating simultaneously. Humanity had hoped never to need these precautions. Now they would see if their paranoia had been justified. Prometheus is active, Lewis confirmed quietly. All systems reporting ready status. Chen looked at the alien vessels still waiting in formation, unaware of what had just been set in motion. Now we wait, she said, and we hope they're bluffing. But deep down, Captain Chen knew, hope wasn't a strategy. And the stars were about to catch fire. Stars like wildfire. The strange calm between the human fleet and the Concordiate vessels stretched for nearly 6 hours. In her ready room, Captain Chen reviewed the latest tactical simulations for the 10th time, looking for any advantage, any insight that might prevent bloodshed. Captain, Major Lewis's voice came through the intercom. They're moving. Chen was on the bridge in seconds. The alien vessels had broken their ceremonial formation and were spreading out in a classic envelopment pattern. They're charging weapons, Nakamura reported, his fingers dancing across his console. Energy signatures indicate some kind of particle acceleration technology. Chen's decision was immediate. Defensive formation, shields to maximum. All vessels, hold fire unless directly targeted. The first response fleet shifted smoothly, the 5 human ships arranging themselves in a modified phalanx. On the main view screen, the alien vessels continued their approach, their organic hulls pulsing with internal light. Incoming transmission, Rise announced. The alien representative appeared once more, its skin now dark with patches of crimson. Your time to decide has not expired, it stated. Yet we detect energy signatures consistent with military preparations throughout your territory. The Concordia does not tolerate deception. Chen stood tall. We are exercising our right to self-defense. Your vessels have adopted an offensive posture. If you truly seek peaceful resolution, return to your previous position. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. You misunderstand your situation, Captain Chen. You are not being offered negotiation. You are being granted mercy, a mercy that is rapidly expiring. The transmission cut off abruptly. Seconds later, the lead alien vessel fired, a blindingly bright beam of energy that sliced through space toward the Vigilance. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered, gripping her chair as the massive ship lurched sideways. The beam missed by mere meters, its energy wake shaking the vessel like a leaf in a storm. Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. The Vigilance responded instantly. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, streaking toward the attacking vessel. The alien ship attempted to evade, but 2 of the projectiles found their mark, sending visible shockwaves across its hull. Around them, the space erupted into chaos as the remaining ships from both sides engaged. Beams of energy crossed paths with human projectiles, shields flared with brilliant light, and the silent void became a canvas of destruction. Their shields are strong, Nakamura reported, but their maneuverability is limited. They weren't expecting us to be this fast. Or this accurate, Lewis added. They're used to intimidation, not actual combat. Chen watched the tactical display with laser focus. Concentrate fire on their lead vessel. All ships, execute pattern Hydra. The human fleet responded with practiced precision, shifting positions in a complex dance that confused targeting systems while focusing their combined firepower on a single target. The alien flagship's shields flared brilliantly, then collapsed under the onslaught. A second volley tore into its exposed hull, sending fragments spiraling into the void. Direct hit, Nakamura called out. Enemy flagship is venting atmosphere. Their weapon systems are offline. The remaining alien vessels faltered momentarily, clearly shocked by the swift neutralization of their leader. Then, with what seemed like renewed fury, they pressed their attack. They're targeting our smaller vessels now, Lewis observed, trying to even the odds. Chen nodded grimly. Protect the horizon and the Dauntless. Have them fall back behind our defensive line, and activate the Prometheus Vanguard. Lewis looked up sharply. The Vanguard. Are you sure, Captain? The Admiral authorized full protocol, Chen reminded him, and I want them to understand exactly what they're dealing with. Lewis nodded and transmitted the command. Moments later, the tactical display updated, showing 12 new contacts approaching rapidly from multiple vectors. Automated combat platforms awakened from their dormant state, now converging on the battlefield. The alien vessels detected the new threats and attempted to reposition, but they were caught by surprise. The Prometheus platforms, designed for precisely this scenario, attacked with ruthless efficiency, their advanced targeting systems finding vulnerabilities in the aliens' defensive patterns. The Concordiate vessels are attempting to withdraw, Nakamura reported, a note of surprise in his voice. They're falling back to their original position. Let them go, Chen ordered, but maintain combat readiness. As the alien ships retreated, a tense silence fell over the bridge. The skirmish had lasted less than 15 minutes, but it had revealed volumes about both sides. Minor damage to our port shield emitters, Lewis replied. The Dauntless took a glancing hit to their sensor array. Otherwise, we're operational. He paused, studying his console. Captain, we've confirmed the alien flagship is disabled but intact. Their life support systems appear functional. Chen considered this information. Prepare a boarding party. I want to know who we're really dealing with. The interior of the alien flagship was as organic as its exterior. Corridors that seemed to breathe, surfaces that responded to touch with subtle shifts in color and texture. Major Lewis led the boarding party, accompanied by xenobiologist Dr. Amara Osi and a squad of Marines in environmental suits. Atmosphere is breathable, Dr. Osi confirmed, checking her instruments. Gravity is approximately 0.9 Earth standard. Temperature slightly elevated but within human tolerance. They proceeded cautiously toward the ship's command center, guided by the Vigilance's scans. The few aliens they encountered offered no resistance, their skin pallid and movements sluggish. They're in shock, Osi observed, likely never expected to be defeated, much less boarded. The command center was a circular chamber dominated by what appeared to be a living console, a pulsating mass of tissue-like material with numerous appendages extending from its core. Several aliens stood around it, including the representative who had communicated with Chen. I am Major Lewis of the UND of Vigilance, Lewis announced, his suit's translator converting his words. Your vessel has been disabled. We have no desire for further conflict, but we require answers. The lead alien turned slowly, its skin now a dull gray with flickers of blue. You were supposed to surrender, it said, the translator giving its voice a hollow quality. No emergent species has ever resisted the Concordia. None have had the capability. Perhaps you should have investigated us more thoroughly before issuing threats, Lewis replied evenly. Now, explain what this Concordiate actually is, and why you targeted humanity. The alien seemed to deflate slightly. The Concordiate is not what we claimed. We are the Viridian Coalition, a collective of 7 species from neighboring systems. For generations, we have used the myth of the Concordiate to maintain our borders against the truly dangerous powers in this sector. You're not an ancient, powerful civilization at all, Osai realized. You're a buffer state. The alien's skin flushed briefly with yellow, embarrassment, perhaps. We detected your expansion years ago. Your technology, your methodical colonization. You exhibited all the patterns of a predator species. We hoped to intimidate you into retreat before you attracted the attention of the actual threats. And what threats are those? Lewis pressed. The hegemony, came the reply, a pulse of deep purple spreading across the alien skin. A true empire spanning hundreds of systems. They consume resources, subjugate populations, and eliminate potential rivals. They have left our coalition alone because we are too small to be worthy of notice. But you're kind. Its 4 eyes fixed on Lewis. Your technology, your adaptability, your aggression. These would mark you as a future threat to be eliminated now. Lewis exchanged glances with Dr. Osei. And you thought threatening us would somehow protect us. We thought you would retreat back to your homeworld, the alien explained. Become invisible again. Instead, you activated weapons we did not know existed and defeated our most advanced vessels without significant damage. A ripple of what might have been respect colored its skin. Perhaps the hegemony is right to fear species like yours. Back on the Vigilance, Captain Chen processed the boarding party's report with a growing sense of unease. So we've stumbled into a complex political situation, she summarized. A smaller coalition using fears of a larger empire to maintain their borders, and inadvertently painting a target on Earth in the process. Lewis added, if this hegemony is as powerful and expansionist as they claim, then we've just announced our presence in the most dramatic way possible. Chen finished. She turned to Admiral Okafor's hologram, which had remained silent during the briefing. Your thoughts, Admiral. Okafor's expression was grim. Defense Command is already assessing options, but Captain, there's something else you should know. She gestured, and a new holographic display appeared. A complex network of communications intercepts. Since you activated Prometheus, our deep space arrays have been gathering significantly more data. We've detected communications between the Viridian vessels and another entity, one that doesn't match their technology signature. Chen leaned forward, studying the display. They have an observer. More than that, Okafor corrected. We believe they have a handler. The communication patterns suggest the Viridians were acting under direction from this third party. The hegemony, Lewis suggested. Possibly, Okafor acknowledged. Or something else entirely. Either way, the situation has become more complex than a simple territorial dispute. Chen absorbed this information, mind already shifting to strategic considerations. What are your orders, Admiral? Establish diplomatic relations with the Viridian Coalition. Learn everything you can about this sector and its politics. And Captain. Okafor's eyes hardened. Prepare the Prometheus network for potential full-scale engagement. If this hegemony is as dangerous as described, we need to be ready. And the Viridian vessels. Offer medical assistance and technical support to repair their flagship. We need allies, not enemies. Okafor paused, but make it clear that any future threats against Earth will be met with the full force of our capabilities. After Okafor's hologram faded, Chen turned to Lewis. Contact the Viridian representative. Inform them of our terms. The diplomatic exchange that followed was tense but productive. The Viridians, humbled by their defeat and impressed by humanity's unexpected strength, revealed more about the complex interstellar politics of the sector. The mythical Concordiat had been their creation, a fiction designed to keep aggressive neighbors at bay. But the hegemony was very real, a distant but expanding empire that consumed resources and subjugated populations with ruthless efficiency. They will come, the Viridian representative warned, its skin now a calm blue as it stood on the Vigilance's bridge. Perhaps not immediately, but they will come. Your activation of your defense network has created energy signatures they cannot ignore. Then we'll be ready, Chen replied. And we'll stand together. The alien skin rippled with surprise. You would ally with those who threatened you. We understand fear, Chen said simply, and we prefer friends to enemies when possible. As negotiations continued, Earth's defense preparations accelerated. The Prometheus network, designed as a last resort, became the foundation of a new strategy. not just for protection, but for projection of power. Automated platforms were repositioned throughout human space, hidden shipyards increased production, and long-range sensors were calibrated to detect the approach of any hegemony vessels. 3 weeks after the initial encounter, as the Joint Human Viridian Task Force conducted exercises near Rally Point Epsilon, the sensors finally detected what they had been watching for, a massive energy signature approaching from deep space. Single vessel, Nakamura reported, his voice tight. Size, unprecedented. At least 20 times larger than the Vigilance. On the main view screen, a shape began to materialize, a dark, angular behemoth that seemed to absorb the light of surrounding stars. Unlike the organic designs of the Viridian ships, this vessel was brutally functional, bristling with weapon emplacements and surrounded by a faint distortion field. Hegemony Dreadnought, the Viridian representative confirmed, its skin pale with fear. A world killer. Chen studied the massive ship, noting its approach vector and speed. They're not rushing in. They're assessing. As would I, Lewis commented, if I encountered unexpected resistance. A communication request flashed on Reyes's console. They're hailing us, Captain. Chen straightened her uniform. On screen, the being that appeared was unlike anything Chen had seen before. A towering armored figure with multiple limbs and a face hidden behind an elaborate mask. When it spoke, its voice resonated with artificial harmonics. Interesting, it said without preamble. Our Viridian proxies failed to subdue you, and now you stand together. Adaptability, the most dangerous trait in lesser species. I am Captain Maya Chen of Earth, Chen replied evenly. We have no quarrel with your hegemony. We seek only to exist in peace. Indeed, then you have learned the wrong lessons. The figure leaned forward slightly. You have 20 of your hours to surrender your vessels and provide coordinates to your homeworld. The hegemony would prefer to integrate your technology rather than destroy it. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving an oppressive silence on the bridge. They're supremely confident, Lewis observed. With good reason. The Viridian representative added, a single dreadnought has the capability to sterilize an entire planet. Chen turned to Nakamura. Detailed scan of that vessel. I want to know every strength and every weakness. As the tactical officer complied, Chen opened a secure channel to Earth. Admiral Okafor, the situation has escalated. We are facing a direct hegemony threat. We're monitoring, Captain, Okafor replied. Defense Command has reached a decision. Activate Prometheus Phase 2. Chen felt her breath catch. Phase 2. The deployment of technologies so advanced, so potentially destabilizing, that Earth had kept them hidden even from most of its own military. Technologies developed not for defense, but for a worst-case scenario exactly like this one. Understood, Admiral. Initiating Phase 2. Throughout the assembled human fleet, commanders received encrypted orders. Systems that had remained dormant suddenly activated, and deep within the Vigilance itself, a special compartment opened, revealing a device no larger than a briefcase, Earth's ultimate technological achievement. What is happening? The Viridian representative asked, its skin shifting through patterns of confusion as it observed the sudden activity. We're evening the odds, Chen replied simply. On her command, the device was activated. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a ripple spreading across still water, a wave of energy expanded outward from the human fleet. When it reached the hegemony dreadnought, the massive vessel suddenly shuddered, its lights flickering. Their primary systems are failing, Nakamura reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. Weapons, propulsion, shields, all offline. Quantum disruption field, Lewis explained to the stunned Viridian. Selectively target specific technological signatures. Your vessels are unaffected because we calibrated it to ignore your tech. The hegemony dreadnought drifted helplessly, its imposing silhouette now seeming less threatening as emergency lights flickered across its hull. Open a channel, Chen ordered. The masked figure appeared again, though its image was unstable, breaking apart and reforming. Impossible, it hissed. No emerging species has such technology. Perhaps you should have investigated us more thoroughly before issuing threats, Chen replied, deliberately echoing Lewis's earlier words to the Viridians. Now let me be clear. We have no desire for conquest or conflict. But we will not be threatened, we will not be subjugated, and we will not stand by while others suffer the same fate. She leaned forward slightly. You have two options. Withdraw from this region entirely and leave the Viridian coalition in peace, or face the full deployment of the technology you've just experienced across your entire fleet. The figure remained silent for a long moment. When it finally spoke, its voice had lost some of its resonance. The hegemony does not negotiate with lesser. This isn't a negotiation, Chen interrupted. It's a choice between retreat and obsolescence. Your dreadnought will regain minimal functionality in approximately 6 hours, enough to return to your territory. I suggest you use that time to reconsider your position in the cosmos. She signaled Reyes to cut the transmission. Will they comply? The Viridian representative asked, its skin now showing patterns of cautious hope. They're rational, Chen replied. And rationality dictates that they reassess when faced with superior technology. Lewis approached, speaking quietly. The quantum disruption field won't work a second time. They'll adapt their systems. They don't know that, Chen pointed out. And by the time they figure it out, we'll have something else ready. Because that was humanity's true strength. Not the weapons they had built or the defenses they had hidden, but their relentless innovation, their ability to adapt and overcome. It was the quality that had allowed them to survive on a planet that tried to kill them at every turn, and now it would secure their place among the stars. 6 months later, Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly established Epsilon Station, a joint human-Viridian outpost marking the formal alliance between Earth and the Coalition. Through the viewport, she could see ships from both civilizations moving in coordinated patterns, conducting joint exercises and trading technologies. The hegemony had withdrawn, retreating to its core systems to reassess its approach to this unexpected new power. Intelligence suggested they were frantically researching countermeasures to human technology, but they would find no easy answers. Earth had revealed only a fraction of its capabilities, enough to establish deterrence without showing their full hand. Meanwhile, other civilizations in the sector had taken notice. Some approached with caution, others with hope. The myth of the Concordiat had faded, replaced by the reality of a new alliance built not on fear, but on mutual respect and common interests. Quite a view, Admiral Okafor commented as she joined Chen at the viewport. Not what either of us expected when that first signal arrived. No, Chen agreed, but perhaps better in the long run. Okafor nodded thoughtfully. Defense Command has authorized Phase 3. Construction begins next month. Phase 3, a network of defensive platforms and early warning systems extending throughout Allied space, designed not just to protect Earth, but all its partners. A shield against the darkness. The hegemony will return eventually, Chen said, once they think they've found a countermeasure. Let them try, Okafor replied with a slight smile. By then, we'll be ready with something new. As they watched the ships moving against the backdrop of stars, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. One signal, one misunderstanding, had nearly led to conflict, but it had also awakened humanity to the wider galaxy, forcing them to emerge from their self-imposed isolation and take their place among the stars. And those stars, once dark and silent, now burned with new possibilities. Not as a wildfire of destruction, but as beacons lighting the way forward, together.